Hello friends, welcome to another episode of our MERN Stack Task Manager. And in this episode, we are going to deal with the task. Okay, so if you remember, this is where we ended. We are done with our dashboard, so we go into the task. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. We're going to have this board view as well as a list view like this. Okay, so let's get started. Don't forget to like and subscribe, right? Also share and put your comment. Great. Okay, so if you check from the GitHub repo, you see that the data we have contain this tags, dummy tags that we want to use. Okay, great. So let's jump straight into it. So we are going to task. Okay, so we're just going to this tags. Okay. So first of all, I'll bring these things. Okay, so I have this tabs, right? The board view and the list view as well as the tags type. These are just background colors. Okay, and these are images. I'm sorry, icons. I'll just import from React icons. Okay, great. You can use any icon of your choice. Okay. Okay, so now let's go into it. Now we will need certain things. Okay, so we'll need to get params because we'll send some parameters. We'll say it's equal to use params, which is coming from React router DOM. Right. Also, we'll need some state variables. So we'll say cons selected to get the selected task. Set selected. Should be equal to use state. Great. And by default, I think we can pass 0 to it. Also, we'll need whether it's opened, right, to set open. So a use state, and by default, it should be equal to false. Okay, so if you remember, there are these things we can open, right? Yes, we also have the add task, subtask, yeah, so that's what we have in the open state. Okay, great. So in our component, we can create a loader. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a loader. So components, okay, we don't have it, so let's create it. We call it loading or loader .gsx. Great, and I'll just paste this content. Right, okay, so it's just a div with that's dot container with other divs inside it. Okay, so if you check from our CSS file, you can see this is dot container and dots, the classes are in there. Okay, so I want to believe form. Okay, yes, dot container, so they are in here already. So this other we need to do, we have a container. Okay, so what we're going to do is that when the tasks are loading, right? So for now, let's just create a state for, let's say, loading, right? And set loading. Should we go to a use state, which will be false at the beginning? Okay, so let's remove this and see when it is loading, right? When loading is true, we're going to have call our loading. Okay, and when it is not, then we'll have another div show. Okay, great. So let's import this. It is not coming, so I'll just go in here. Great. Make sure I get the spellings correct. Okay, great. Okay, so when it is loading, we'll show the loader, and when it is not, we'll have a different thing. Okay, so here, let us give some class. Okay, so the class is py of 10. Okay, so we can flip over to C. If we go here and we click this all, now let me change this to true so that we can see. Okay, you see, now we have this loader. Okay, great. False. Okay, so this div, we should give a class name, which is width of full. That's all. Great. Inside it, let's have one div with classes. And the classes is flex, item, center, justify to between, and margin bottom of 4. Inside it, we'll have the title, right? We'll have it as a component that will pass the title to it, right? And the title will be the status. Okay, so the status we're getting up there, right? If the status exists, then we're going to say status, then we add the name task to it. If it doesn't, we'll just say task. Did I declare state? Oh no, we didn't declare the status, so my bad. Okay, so here we're going to say const status should be equal to params, right, dot question mark dot status, great, or nothing. Okay, great. Okay, then let's close this. Okay, so now let us go create it. So title, so we'll go into our components and just say title, title.jsx rafca. Okay, great. Okay, so in here we're just going to use h2, so I'll change this to h2, and we'll take props title, and if we have other class name to pass along, we'll also take it. Okay, so title. Now let's give some classes, and we're going to make it dynamic. So we'll import the CLXX library, so make sure you have it. So first is the text should be 2XL, font of semi-bold, and it should be capitalized. Great. So then let's add the external classes we'll be sending along. Class name. Great. So in here, then we'll just put the title. Great. So let's close this, go back, and make sure you import it. So we just hold Control then spacebar and just import it. Make sure it's imported. So place the cursor in front, Control spacebar, then press Enter to import it. Okay, great. Okay, let's continue. So let's check it up. So we have task here. So now we need to have this button also. Okay, great. Okay, so now that we are done with the title, let us work on the button. Okay, so we will only show the button if there is no status. So if you go to the app.js page, you can see that when we are going to complete a task, we pass status in progress, and to do we pass the status. But you can see that at the tags we don't have status. So when we don't have the status, that means on the tags page, that's where we want to show the button. But on these pages, we are not going to show the button, right? Okay. So what we'll do that we'll open CODEBASE and say that if there is no status, right? If there is no status, then we will call our button component. Great. We call our bottom component, and let's pass those props. So the label will be equal to create task, and icon will be equal to IO MD add. Okay, great. This icon. Great. IOMD add. Great. And let's give classes. We want the test of LG. That is for the size. Okay, let's continue with the button. So class name, it should be flex, flex row reverse. Okay, a gap of 1, items to center, BG blue, dash 600, test white, rounded, dash MD, PY of 2, and 2XL the PY of 2.5. Okay, let me break this thing. Okay, so to break them to multiply so that you don't have that long line, you can just press Alt and Z or Z to, wrap it. Okay, so now we have this button here. Great. Maybe the test white. Oh, okay, it should be dash. Great. Okay, so now let us go to the cards. Okay, so we need this div. We'll have another div. Okay, and inside it we are going to have a tabs. We are going to have tabs. Okay, so let us create our tabs. Okay, so we'll create our tabs, and our tabs will have some props or properties. We have the tabs, which will be equal to the tabs that we have up there. So if we have a variable here called tabs. Great, so we are passing this board view and list view to it, right? So tabs. Then we also pass the set selected to be equal to set selected. Great. Okay, so these are the two properties. So now let's go into components and create tabs.jsx refce. Oh, it's supposed to be JSS. Great, refce. Great. And let's come and import it. Great. Okay, so in the tab we will need tab from headless UI. Great. Now, assuming you are not able to install the clxxs function, you can also use this simple function to combine classes. Okay, so this, it's coming from headless UI. When you go to their documentation, they use this style. So if you're not able to use the CLS, you can also use this function to combine multiple classes. Okay. Oh, I have it twice. Okay, one. Okay, great. So you can also use this. Okay, so now let us accept the props. So we have the tabs, we have set selected, and we'll also pass children. Okay, so let's give classes to this div. So class name, we'll say with full px1, and on xm ps of 0. Okay, inside it we're going to use a tab from headless UI, so we'll say tab.group. Okay, inside it we have the tab list, so tab list. Okay, let's give classes to the tab list. So classes, it should be flex space x of 6 rounded .xl and p1. Okay, inside it now we'll map over the tabs that we have. So our tabs.map, another bracket, we get each tab with index. Okay, and we have to return tab. Okay, great. So now for optimization, let us provide this with a key, and the key should be equal to the index. We can also use let's say the tab.title. Okay, great. I think the title is also unique. Also on click, we want to set selected, right? We set selected to index. Set selected to the index. Okay, now let's also give classes. So here okay, so we will get selected, whether that tab is the one which is selected or not, right? Okay, then if that is the one that is selected, then we'll use the class name that we'll define up there, which is class names. Okay, then we'll pass classes, right? Okay, so the width should be fixed, it should be flex, items to center, outline to none, gap of 2. Let's see if I can break. Okay, gap of 2, px of 3, py also of 2.5, text dash base, font dash medium, font medium, great, a leading of 5, bg white, bg white. Okay, so now these are the default classes, right? So now behind it we can say so if selected is true, then we'll say text should be blue dash 700, then border bottom of 2. That's we want to give I mean a line, right? So we want to give the border at the bottom so that we'll see that that is selected. So border dash blue dash 600, and if it is not selected, right, this should be gray dash 800, and on hover the test should be blue dash let's say also 800. Okay, let's continue. So inside it now we'll render the tab dot title inside it. Okay, great. Let's also add the icon, so tab dot icon, and let's then put this inside a span. Okay, great. So now let's go and check. Okay, so now we have the board view and the list view. So if I click here, it changes accordingly. Okay, great job. Okay, so now let's work on the card. Okay, so we have each tab, right? So beneath the tab list, let's have the tab dot panel. So this is where we have the tab panel, and inside the tab panel, that's where we'll show the children. Okay, so let's give classes. So class name, we're gonna say width of full, margin top of 2. Great. Okay, great. So if we go back, great. So now we can see we have this test, and if we click here, it changes, right? Okay, great, great job. So now let us go back to the tabs. Okay. So now inside these tags, here, first we want to render those labels that we have given. Okay, so we'll say that if we'll check if status does not exist, right? Okay, then we'll render them. So first we'll render a div. Okay, so inside that div we have the tax title, and we'll pass the label, and the label will be to do. Great. To do, they will pass classes, which will be equal to task type, right? Dot to do. Okay. Then we'll just close it here. Great. And okay, then this does not exist. We'll have another one for in progress, and this will be in progress. Now, if you see here, the name is just together as one. That's why we're using the dot operate here. But here, the name is a string and it's separated. That's why we put in as a string. Okay, great. And here, it's completed. Okay, great. So we have this. Oh, I need to change this also to completed. Okay, completed task. Okay, so now let us create this label. So we'll come here and say tax title dot jsx array fce. Great. So in here we are accepting the label and class name. Okay. So let's give classes to this div. We want a width of full, HD of 10, H of 10. Great. On MD, H of 12, PX of 2. On MD, PX of 4. It should be rounded. And BG white. At the BG white, what again can we give? BG white, we can give, okay, let's say flex items to center, justify to also justify to between. Great. Let's break it down. Okay. Let's give another div, and inside this div we have one div which will be a self-closing div, right? Okay. Then we'll have a paragraph tag which will render the label. Okay, great. Like this. Okay, so let's start this. So class name. Okay. So flex gap to item center. Now let's come to this self-closing div. We'll use dynamic classes, so clx, import this. Okay, great. Width of 4, height also of 4, rounded dash full, rounded full. Then let's add the class name of the classes that we'll be sending. Great. And that class which is coming is basically the background color. Okay, great. Let's also give styles to this one. The text should be SM. On MD, text should be base. The text should be gray. That's 600. Okay. Now beneath this button, let's have a button here. Okay, and the button will have the icon IO MD add. Okay, which classes? So test dash LG, test dash black. Okay, pretty simple. And on click of this button, what are you going to do? We'll call the on click function. On click function, which I believe does not exist for now. Okay, so let's give class name. It should be hidden. And on MD it should be block. Okay, great. So let's go back and import this. Great. And let's check our page. Our app has crashed. Let's check what went wrong. Okay, so we having console, we're having an error of reference status. Okay, so that's a typo. Okay, so it's supposed to be status. Great. Okay, so now we have this 3 here. Okay, but I think on big screen it should be okay. So then let's start this. Okay, great. Width of full, flex, justify to between, gap of 4 on MD, gap of x of 12, and py of also 4. Okay, I think this should fix it. Okay, great. So we have it like this now. Okay, so now let us render these cards. Okay. Okay, great. So far so good. So now beneath this here, let's open another object. And now if selected, we say equal to 0, right? We will render, let me put a div for now. Else, that's if it's also equal to 1, we'll also put another div. Okay. So since we have 2 items, the index starts from 0, so it's either 0 or 1, right? So if it's 0, we'll render this, and if it's 1, we'll render this. Okay, so if it's 0, we're going to render the board view. Okay, the board view. So in here, components, we'll say board view.jsx array fce. Great. Okay, and let's do this real quick. Okay, so board view will accept the task, right? And we'll return this object, this JSX. width of full, py of 4. It should be grade columns -1 on SM, grid columns -2, MD, grid columns -3, grid columns -3, gap of 4 on 2XL, gap of 10. Okay, great. And inside here we will take the task and map over it. We'll get each task as well as the index, and instantly we'll return a task card. And the task card will also take each task and we'll pass the key as the index. Great. So this card does not exist, so let us create this card. But firstly, let us close some of these things. Okay, so let's import the board view here. So board view, great. And let us pass the task as tags. And these tags are coming from our dummy data. Okay, so if you check up here, you can see it's coming from the data. Okay, great. Okay, so let us go and create the task card. So here, task card.jsx refce. Okay, then I'll bring my icons, these icons, which I'll import. Okay. Oh, okay, great. Icons, task card. Okay, great. Okay, great. So in here we'll take the task. Great. And now here we'll have some some variables. Okay, here we will have to get the user, and I remember we have configured our store already, so we can take the user from the store. So use selector, great. Then we'll get the state, and in the state we'll have the alt. Okay, great. We also need open and set open, which will be a use state, and by default it should be false because it is not opened. Okay, so we can take up this. Let's wrap it with a React fragment. Okay, now inside it let's have a div. Okay, so this div will have a width full, height of fit, bg white, okay, bg white, and let's have a shadow of MD and pattern of 4 as well as rounded. Okay, great. Inside it we have another div with classes. We need dynamic classes, so we'll import this utility flex 1, gap 1, item center, text-sm, font medium. Great. And let's add priority I think it's priority stars. Okay, let me just copy and paste the name. Okay, so we have this already with in our utils. Okay, so the star's already there, and we'll pass tax exist dot priority. Great. So the priority will determine the style that we get. Okay, so inside this div, we'll have a span, and the span will take icons. Then the icon that we'll get will depends on which type of task. Okay, priority. Okay, great. Let's start this. So class, we can say test-lg. Okay, for size. Okay, so let's have another span, and this span will also take task dot the priority itself. Okay, then we can add the word priority. Okay, make sure you spell it correctly. Okay, so classes, we say it should be uppercase. Okay, we want it to be capitalized. Now beneath this div, we will have curly braces and we'll say if the user dot is admin, right? So if the user is an admin, let me put this, if the user is an admin, then we will render task dialog, where we can also pass the task to it. Okay. Task card. I think the spellings are not matching. Okay, great. So this does not exist, but we'll handle it. Okay. So we can also create I think let me group task. Okay, so all those small components that belongs to the task can go here. So task dialog, task dialog.jsx array fce, great, and let's import it here. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, so beneath this div, let's render another fragment, and inside it we'll have a div, okay, a div, great. Let's style it. It should be flex, items, center, and gap of 2. Okay, let's have one more div, also classes. Now let's use the dynamic classes here. So CLS. Okay, so width of 4, height of 4, rounded dash full, great. Then task type, then we'll put the task dot stage. Okay, maybe let's check and see if we're making kind of progress. So we are greeted with error. Let's check. Okay, so we are saying task card is not defined. Okay, let me try and put it side by side and see. Okay, so I'll close this task card. So I'll come here. No, it should be in the board view and import tax card. Okay, great. So it's coming up fine. So tax card. Okay, so now we have the stage. So now you see if it's a to-do, if it's whether in progress or completed. We have those things here. Okay. Okay. So I think that this one is outside the cards view. So it should be like this. Okay. Here. Okay. So um okay. So okay. So I think let's put one div here to wrap it. Okay. So this class will also be width of full, flex, and justify to between. Great. And we'll now cut this, including this, into that div like this. Great. So that we close this div, and now we copy whole of this also into this div. Great. So now you can see that now it's inside it. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's continue. So now that we have the stage, let's make this a self-closing div. Great. We have it now. We can have h4. In the h4 we render the tax dot title. Great. So we have the title of h4. Great. Inside is where we have this. Great. Now let's also give it some styles. Test dash line dash clamp dash one. We want it to be one line. So if the tax title is very long, we just want it to be on one line. So that's why we're using this style, right? Okay. Okay, great. It should be line clamp one. Okay, great. The text should be black, and that's all. Okay. Beneath it, this div. Beneath the div, we'll have expand tag, and that span tag we are going to use format. If you remember, we have a function format date, and we just pass new date, then we pass task exist dot date. Make sure you get the parentheses right. Okay, great. We'll format it to this date. Great. Let's give it also some classes. So test-sm, test gray dash 600, gray dash 600. Okay. So now beneath this fragment, okay, let's come down. Okay, let's come down and have one div which should be a self-closing div. Also class name. We want a width of full, border top, and a border of gray dash 200, and margin y of 2. Okay, so we just want to have some thin line in there. Okay, great. I also have this div. Let's give some classes. Okay, so this div, we want it to be flex, items to center, justify to between, and margin bottom of 2. Okay, inside it, let's have one div. Okay, this div, we're going to have these classes: flex, item to center, and gap of 3. Okay, another div to wrap the icon and the length. So in this, we'll have an icon. So I'll just bring my icon and make sure it's imported, this icon. Great. And a span tag to wrap the task dot activities. So the activities dot length. Okay, so we want to know the length of the activities, right? Okay, great. So this is what we're working on here now. Okay, that's why we have a lot of divs in here. Okay, so now let's start this div. Okay, so it should also be flexed in a gap of 1, items to center, test of SM, and test of gray dash 600. Okay, so now all we have to do is just duplicate it, right? Duplicate it I think 2 more times. So I'll just copy and bring it. So this from here to here, it's 1. So I'll just bring 2 more. Great. Also, and import the icons. Okay, great. Great. So now we have this icon. So now we need to go to the right and also have the team members. Okay, great. So beneath this div, great. Okay, so now let us have the users or the team. Let's wrap it in a div. Okay, also, so let's give classes to this: flex row, that's reverse. Great. Inside it, we're going to say tax dot t dot map. So we get each member as M. Then we also get the index, and we need to instantly return. We'll return a div. Let me close it. Great, like this. This div, let's give key. So the key should be the index. Okay. Also, let's give some classes. CLX. Okay, great. So width of 7, height of also 7, rounded dash full, text of white, flex, item center, justify center. Okay, test SM, and margin right of -1. Okay, then let's add additional classes, which is BGS. So if you remember, we have this in the utils. Then we just pass index %sign BS dot length. Okay, great. To select any color randomly based on this. Okay, I mean, we just want to get the index. So to get the color, we are using the index mode, the length of this, right? Of this, of the, I think the colors are four colors. So, you know, you can add as many as you want. Okay. Okay, so inside this, we'll just render the user info, and I think we have this already. So say, then pass M to it. I think we have it already. Okay, great. So one advantage of React is when we break things into components, it makes the work very easy. Okay, so now after this block come after this, great. Okay, so after this come down one, and now let us have the subtask. Okay, subtask. So in the subtask also, let us access the subtask dot length. Let's make sure there are subtasks first. If it's equal to, if it's greater than 0, then we can render the subtask, right? Else, let me put a fragment for now. Okay, so here, let me start this. Let's put class. We're going to say pattern y of 4, border top, border gray dash 200. Okay, and inside it, let's have h5, which will render task dot subtask. We want the first one, so we want to show only the first one for now. Dot title. Okay, so we want to render the last subtask. Okay, great. So we have the last one here. Okay, the title. And okay, let's give classes. So class names, class name, test of base, test of base, line clamp of also 1, great. And the test of black, great. Okay, so beneath the title, we can have a div, classes, pattern of 4, and space of x of 8, great. Inside, let's have a span, good. And the span will also take the date, so I'll just copy. Okay, so this span will take the date, and we are using the date format again, right? Great, and we pass in the task date. Okay, let's give some classes. The test should be sm small, test dash gray dash 600. Okay, great. So we have it here. And beneath this span, we have another span tag, which will show task dot subtask dot now I mean in the 0 dot tag. Okay, so if they are tag, for instance, this is a website app, if they are tags, yeah, then we just bring the tags. Okay, let's also give classes. We give a bg color of blue dash 600, then opacity, so 10, Okay, px of 3, py of 1, rounded dash full, then test dash blue dash 700, then font of medium. Great. Okay, great. So we're making progress. So now if we do not have task here, what we're going to do is we're going to have let's have a div. Okay, and in that div we're going to have a span tag that says that no sub task. Okay, so let's start it. Okay, so py of 4, I want to border top, border gray dash 200, and let's give classes to this, the test. So test of gray dash 500. Okay, great. I want to believe all of them have subtask, so great. Okay, so if I turn this to, let's see, a bigger number to see, so you see that there's no subtask. Okay, great. Let's revert it. Okay, so we need the subtask. Great. Let's continue with our card. Okay, great. So let's have one div, and this div will have classes of width dash full, pattern bottom of 2. Inside it we'll have a bottom. Great. And the bottom will have an icon and a test. So I'll just copy and paste them. Okay, so this is the icon and this is the test that says add subtask. Okay, so let's give some props. First, disabled. So disabled, we'll first check user, right, dot is admin. So if the user is admin, then it should be false, else it should be true. So if the user is not the admin, then that button should be disabled. Okay, let's also give some classes. It's width of full. Great. Flex, gap 4, item to center, test dash sm, test dash gray dash 500, font semi bold, and disabled. When it is disabled, we want cursor okay, cursor dash not allowed. Not allowed. Okay, great. Cursor is not allowed. And when it is disabled, we want the test dash gray dash 300. Okay, great. I think yes, this account is the admin, so you can see all of this. Okay. Okay, so later we'll add the add sub task here, and we'll pass the open. It's a form, so we'll pass the open here and set open to set open. Okay, then we'll pass the ID of the task, right? That is task dot underscore ID. Great. So for now that it is not ready, I will just comment it. Okay, so now this is our tag, our card. Okay, great. So great job. So if I click here, it's gone, and okay. So now let us go to the list. Great. Okay, so quickly let's go to list. Okay, so let's go to the list. So I think I can close this and close this for now. This We don't need this. Okay, here. Okay, so in here, so if it is not bold, we're going to have table. Okay, which should be a self-closing table, and add e great table, and the table will also take the task, which should be equal to task. Okay, great. So where do we have this table? Let's go create it. I remember we created a table. Did we or no? Okay, so I think this is tag, so let's put it here. Table.jsx arrayfce. Okay, so in here I'll also bring the icons, my icons, and I'll bring the import statement of the various icons. Okay, great, I'll put them here. Okay, let me close this. Okay, we'll also need some state variables. So okay, so we have open dialog and set open dialog, as well as selected and set selected. Let's also take the task. Okay, great. And if you remember, we have created this table before, so it's going to be pretty simple. So I'll just copy and paste some of them, right? Okay, so here I'll bring the table header, right? So the table header, if you remember, we have we created some before. Okay, so I'll just remove this. Okay, great. Okay, great. So now we have this T head, right, with width full and border bottom like we did, and we have the various headers, tag title, priority, created art, asset, and theme. Okay. So if you remember, we did same, so there's no need to repeat it that much. So okay, so inside here, okay, where we're returning, we need to return the table. So I'll just copy and paste this. Okay, so now we have the table header here. Let me break it down. We have a div with background white px2 on mdpx4, pattern top 4, pattern bottom of 9, and shadow of md, as well as rounded. Then we're setting another div with overflow x of auto, so that when it's on small screen, we can scroll the table, right? And we have the table, then the table header, as well as the table bottom, and I mean the table body, where we are looping or mapping over the various tasks, and we need to create this table row. Okay, so this table row, we'll just create it up here. Okay, so table row will immediately return. Great. And in here, we'll first need a table row, so T row. Okay, so we have a T row with border bottom and the border color, as well as the text color, and on hover also. Great. So now let us have the various table data. Okay, so I will just be copy and paste, then we explain. Okay, so we have the first table data with classes, right? by of 2, and inside it we have a div. Now this div has class of flex item center and a gap of 2, and we have another div which will show the task stage. If you remember that div with that color, whether it should be to do or whatsoever it is, right? Great. So let's import this, and it's just a self-closing div. And if you remember, and I think we could have created that as a component on its own, where we can always import it from many, because I think the classes are the same, and we just pass this. Okay, so maybe after this I'll refactor the code. You can also refactor it and just remove all the duplicates, those codes that are the same, group them into components to make the work easier. Now, when you break down the project into components, it make managing the code very easy, right? Okay, so we can refactor it. You can also refactor it. Okay, then we have a paragraph tag which shows the tag's title. Okay, so okay, so let me go and make sure I import table. Okay, great. This, okay. I don't know whether I should give class of width of full here and see. Okay, it's not showing anyway. Well, let's continue and see. Okay, so row is returning this. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so that's the first table data. Okay, so the second one. Okay, so the second one also, it's a table data. We have div in it where we have flex gap one and items to center. We have a span tag, and this span tag, I'll import this. This span tag will just show us the priority styles, right? I'll import this also. Then we put the priority in there. Then we have the icon and we select the icon based on the priority. Then we put a span tag with the priority in it. Okay. I think we should do something. This, it's not rendering accordingly. So if selected is equal to 0, then we select this, else we select this. But selected. Okay, let me change it to 1 and see. So we have it like this. Then the sect selected, it's actually not working on the tabs. So set selected, which is this. Then the onClick function, either it's not working here, set selected to the index. Okay. Okay. I think let me see here and see. Okay. Then something should be wrong somewhere. Okay, so let's console log the selected and see. So I'm getting 1, then 0 and 1. Okay, so why is it not showing? Okay, else, okay, this else, okay, let's see if it's not equal to 1. Let's just turn it around and see. And we are getting, if it is equal to no, not this, it should be here. Great. And still not working. Okay, let's go and see. Perhaps we're getting some errors from the rendering that component. There's also no error. There's also no error. Oh, okay. So if I comment this and comment this, will the table show? Tab. Okay, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. All this. Okay. Map tax panel. Then we show the the appropriate children component. Okay. Let me just copy and paste this and see. So possibly maybe there's something wrong with maybe I didn't type something right. Um, okay. Now it's working. So perhaps I missed something somewhere. Okay, so basically we have this div, and inside the div we have the tab group, right? And in the tab group we have the tab list, and the panel. The panel itself. So the panel is what shows this side, and the tab list is this side. Okay, so we in the tab list we just mapping over it and creating tab for each, right? Okay, so I think literally that's what we're doing here. I actually don't know what's causing the problem. Maybe you saw it, you can fix it as such. Okay, great. So now let's go back to our table. So now this and this. Okay, great. So now let's do the changes here. And also this. Nah. Okay, great. Great. Okay, great. So it's working now. So now let's go back to our table. Okay, so now this will also show the various priorities, the priority with the label, the icon as well as the levels. Okay, so the third one will also show. Okay, so the third one will also show the span, which will do the date formatting. So make sure you import the date formatting. So we show the date of the task, right? Okay, great. And the next one will show the next one. Okay, so the next one will bring the various icons like we did for this side, right? So here we also have another table data, and we have this a div, and inside the div we have the various icons like we did before. Okay, so make sure the icons are imported. Great. And I want to believe I didn't import something. Console. Okay. FA list. Okay, so maybe an icon is not imported. Okay, this. Okay, one of the icons wasn't imported. Okay, so beneath this icons, we have another two more divs. So I'll just copy and bring them. Okay, so now in this last two divs that we have, so this one will render the user, right? I mean the team members. So we have a div, and in it we are mapping over the team, right? And we setting the key, and we also have the classes, few classes for it. Then we have our background colors, right? So make sure you import it, and we are calling our user info component and passing the user information to it, right? And we have another last one which will have buttons, two buttons, right? So make sure you import the button and pass class names as well as the label as edit, and the type is button, right? Okay, and this also should be a button for delete. Okay, so let's go and create the function, right? You see this takes a function, so let's just create an empty callback function. Okay. um this, great, empty callback function like that. Great, so now we have it like this. And so at the end, when we also want to get a way to delete items, we'll need a dialog, right? And the dialog will come below here. So we'll put the dialog here and let's comment it for now. Okay, so we'll come back to it later. So we can tag it as to do. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have this. Great job. Let's look at it in full. So now we have this tags, right? And if we click on this, as usual, we should see this. We should see the names. Beautiful. Okay, great. So now let us go into the other components, which will just be copy and paste, and pretty simple. Okay. Okay, so here we just have to go to completed. So completed, maybe I think by default it should work. Okay, so we have completed task, and oh, so meaning we are even done. So whenever we're fetching from our API, now we are just having dummy data, so we are not looping over it. I mean, fetching the appropriate data, right, or filtering it. So when we are fetching from our API, we'll pass this status that we are getting and get the appropriate data. So here we're also done here. So now let's move quickly to team and the trash. Okay, great job. Okay, so now let's go to team. Okay, great. So since team, it's also just a table like that, and we have done some of this table, it will be easy to handle it. Okay. Okay, so first I will bring a couple of import, variables. So we have open dialog, right, and open and set open, as well as open action and selected. They are all using use states. Okay, we have icons. Okay. So as usual, first we will check. Okay, so first we need to have a div, and that div will have few classes. So as we have here, right? So just replace this div. Great. So we'll have a full and various pattern. Okay, so we'll have another div inside it. Right, great. And this div is flex item center justified to between, and inside it we'll have the title. We'll have the title, and the title will say team members, and that is already there, so we just import it. And we also have our button. Okay, so we also have a button inside the same div, so make sure you also import it. Great. And that button will set the open to true so that we can add users. Okay. Okay, let's import this icon. Great. Okay, so we have this also here. Great. So now beneath that div, we will have our table. Okay, so this, beneath this, we have our table like this. Great. And in here, I think we have the users. I don't know whether we have the users data. Let's go into data. I don't think we have users. Maybe I can just fetch from summary dot and see where. Okay, so maybe I can say summary data dot users. Yeah, I want to believe so. Summary.users. Okay. Why it crashed? Okay. Okay, so it says that reference table header. Oh, okay, great. So now let us fix the table header. So I will just copy and paste it. Let me toggle this here. I'll just copy and paste it because this is the normal thing we have been doing over and over again. Okay, and also let's come to the table row. Okay, so table row. Table row. Okay, so here we're going to return the various table rows. Great. Okay, great. So we have this. Let me break it down. And. Okay, I think I have this dark themes I should remove. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's continue with the various table data. So I'll bring the first four. Okay, so inside this table row, we have this. So the first one, you can see the first one will have a div and another div inside where we want to have the initials of the user, right? So we import this, then we pass the name, then we show the name, right? And the second one will show the user title, the next one is user email, and the next one is user role. Okay, great. Great. I think there is an issue with this because of the dark theme. Oh, okay, great. Okay, I think the user email does not exist in our data. So let me just say user.email.com and see. Okay, I think the user email does not exist. However, let's just move on. Okay. And there is other last two. We'll just copy and paste the other last two data. And the first one, it's okay, so the first one is a button which shows we just use user status and it is not ready, so I will just comment it for now. Okay, let's import this. Okay, so we're just using various classes to show whether the user is active or inactive. And when we click on the button, we want to change the user status, right? Whether to disabled or active. Then the next data shows the button. So I'll import the button. I think it has already been imported. And this will set edit. Let me also make this, comment this, not ready. And let me also comment this. Okay, great. Okay, so great. And this is just, this is our user table. Okay, so this is our user table, right? Great. Pretty simple. So now let us go to the trash items. Trash items. Okay. So trash items. That is this, right? Trash. Okay, great. So trash. Also, I will need my icons. So icons. And I don't think we have, okay, we don't have trash icon items now. So okay, so I'll bring these icons as well as use state from React. Okay. Let's also bring some state variables. Okay, so we have open dialog, open, message, type, and selected, right? They are all use state variables. Okay. So also I'll just copy my table header. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so we have the table header here. Okay, so let me just copy the body part. Okay, so here I'll just replace this. These two are not ready for now, so I'll just comment it. Okay. And also here, let me just import task. Great. Okay. Here we'll import the title and button. Great, as well as the icons, which I believe are imported already. So I'll comment these functions for now. And the table row will be like this. We have done it over and over. Okay, so import tax type, priority styles also, and I think the button imported, and this icons also imported. I'll comment this for now. Okay, and we have it like this. The dark theme looks nice, but I couldn't finish, so I will remove it for now and talk about it later. If I'm able to finish it, I'll let you know. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll remove also this ones. Okay, great. I think that's all. Okay, so now we are done. So now we are done. So in the next one, we'll look at how we can create the various tasks.